All right, people, guess what? I am wearing right now on my wrist the brand new 2023 Rolex 126-500 Panda Daytona, and we are gonna do a hands-on review. So before I get into dissecting this brand new Daytona, go ahead and hit the subscribe button right now so you don't miss any of the new content on the way. All right, so it's pretty much almost December, and we finally get the new 2023 new reference Daytona that we've been waiting for all year. Of course, Rolex has probably been washing out all the previous models, which, by the way, I did bring one here for us also, so we could do some side-by-side comparisons. But finally they have trickled down. I also had the other day in my hand the new Platinum version, but unfortunately the watch sold in 2 days and I was not able to schedule a shoot. My apologies, but I will be doing one on that very soon, which was amazing actually. That watch is amazing. But here today we have the Panda, and let me tell you that once you finally have it on your wrist, of course, almost like everything in Rolex, it's nice, of course, but there's some differences and there's things I want to talk about because I've already had several debates with friends of mine about, is the watch different or is it not? And I think today we're gonna clearly show the differences and debunk it. So first off, this watch has the same look and the same design as the previous model, okay? Except there is a bunch of little small changes that end up adding up to be a lot. So yes, at first glance, it doesn't look the same, but in reality, it is not even remotely near the same. I'm not even 100% sure that any of the parts, for the exception of maybe the clasp, the chrono buttons, and the crown, are interchangeable. I think it's pretty much an entirely different watch. And the first thing that I want to point out is the case. Yes, for sure, 100,000 billion %, the case is different. It is completely different. I almost feel at times that they made the case a little bit bigger, okay? Everyone always complained about the Daytona being too small, that why don't they make a bigger one? But Rolex has this way of keeping the 40 millimeter, but yet extending the lugs or playing with the whole case to give it a little bit more of a boxy feel, we'll say. So when you look at this watch closely, you're gonna realize that yes, the lugs are different. At first I thought that that new metal ring around the bezel was giving the impression that it had bigger lugs. But no, when you see it side by side, you realize that it's a different case. The previous version, the 116-500, whether you noticed this or not, the lugs were both different. When you looked at the lugs on the left side of the case where the 9 o'clock is, they were different than the lugs on the 3 o'clock. The 3 o'clock lugs looked a little bit more narrower. They kind of looked not symmetrical when you look at it. And this example I'm showing you here is actually an unpolished previous reference watch. So we can't say that it was polished or anything like that. Now, the new case, you can tell that they made both lugs the same look and thickness. That alone right there already gives that case a little bit more presence to me. It just looks a little bit more oof, if you get what I'm saying. When you turn the case around sideways is when you really see the differences. The previous model's case kind of extended out and the lugs kind of just had that silhouette like that, where now I feel that they come out and point more down. It has more of a claw down look where it didn't have that before. And one of the obvious things, if maybe perhaps you don't have that good vision or can see things that well, is you notice that the bottom end of the case now has that kick down. Very similar to the Oyster Flex case. So right off the bat, that's something that completely changed. One of the things that I was debating whether the crown guards made such a huge difference, and they did, but I do feel that that's more of a subtle change as opposed to the previous ones. Another thing that's also subtle because it's a half a millimeter, which is not that much, but it is that the case and the overall watch now is half a millimeter thinner. I wonder if that's to kind of offset the look of, since now the case has that look that it's bigger, you know, they want to slim it down so that that way the Daytona doesn't end up being too large looking. That's the way I feel, but immediately, those are things that I realized once you have them side by side. It's tough to see them on these articles or when you see pictures on social media. You kind of need to really see it in person. You know, even seeing it right here, as I pointed out, is gonna help. But when you finally see one in person is when you're gonna really notice it the most. So continuing on with the case and the bracelet, I want to mention that one of the major factors that also execute this whole new look is the end link on the bracelet. Now this, believe it or not, might just go overlooked if you don't realize it and if you really don't study it. But the end piece is kind of what made one of the biggest differences in this new case. Because the previous end link, now I know this could get a little bit tangled up here with the wordplay, but the center link on the previous end piece extended out further than the case and kind of angled out. Whereas this new redesigned case has a shorter end link where the center link is more angled down and flush with the case. If you look at the watch from the top, and I'm gonna put some arrows there so you can see it, you notice that. They know what they're doing. It blends in better. I almost feel that had they have used the previous style end pieces on this style watch, it would have made the case now look too big. Follow me? So they had to kind of blend this in so it looks right. And I think that's one of the major changes as well that you're gonna realize. To finish off what we are talking about the case here, I'm gonna say that the fact that the 3 o'clock side lugs are now equal in thickness to the opposite side is one of the biggest changes. I'm still gonna love the previous models, but damn, I cannot unsee that now. Next, we're gonna go on to what is possibly my favorite thing of this new reference, and it's the bezel. I had said this a while back on one of my videos where I was predicting these watches, and I said it. I said I would love to see a metal ring around the ceramic to give it that vibe of the vintage Daytonas, and here we have it. I think that one of my favorite things about it is that now, you know, the actual ceramic part is and looks thinner. So visually, it just gives it a whole different look on the watch. Nothing wrong with the previous version, but how do you make something that's so perfect better? I mean, you gotta come up with something. So that right there to me is one of the best touches of all time. Of course, in Rolex functional way, they gotta say that that's gonna help in case you hit the bezel on the edge so it doesn't shatter. So yeah, I guess instead of shattering now you just bend to hell. You put a giant ding on that little ass piece. So I really don't know which is the better evil, but look-wise, this is a home run. So let's continue on to the dial. Minus the case, I feel like the theme in this watch was, let's just slim everything. They slimmed down that bezel by putting that ring, and then they slimmed down now the dial. How? Well, the indicators are completely slimmer as compared to the previous version, which in reality had been there for over 20 years. I mean, way over 20 years, the Daytona dial had not been revamped. And now it's almost like we're going back to the previous look of the Zenith, which I think paired with this new bezel looks amazing. The hands are also very, very minutely slimmer. I mean, you can barely tell with the naked eye, but they are slimmer. And then one of my favorite things as well are the sub-dials now. You see, the overall sub-dials are not bigger or smaller. They're exactly the same. What changed is the white area in the middle is what grew larger. So it obviously makes the rings look thinner. I think they completely executed this to perfection. Another fun fact is that supposedly the crystal now has an anti-glare or an anti-reflective coating. I mean, I guess I feel that those coatings are a pain in the ass, especially long term and stuff like that. But hey, that's the way it came. The 4130 movement, which was released in the year 2000 and has obviously been a workhorse when it comes to the chronos, has been replaced with the new 4131. It's gonna have a couple benefits: the power reserve, 72 hours, all that good stuff. What do we expect? Less from Rolex? Of course it's gonna be great, but really, that's not why we buy these things. We know it has a good movement. But you know, again, how do you make a perfect watch better? Well, you gotta spruce it up somewhere. And here we are, Plateau 4131. Crazy part about this watch is that it's 0.5 millimeter thinner. But when it's on my wrist, I feel at times that it almost feels thicker. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the way of the layout of the case now. It feels a little bit thicker. On paper, it's 0.5 millimeter thinner, but it feels actually 0.5 millimeter thicker when you wear it on your wrist. And I don't find that a problem. I think the Daytona, for me, along with the Nautilus, it's like the perfect size watch in the world. I can't really feel that there's a watch better size than those. I think those two watches have the perfect size case, and now it's better. Prices seems to be everybody's favorite part of the video. Prices are accordingly as follows right now. Right now the market is a little bit iffy, people would say. I'd find it a bit more normal. That's kind of what I feel about it. Right now these watches are gonna cost you in the high 30s, possibly even 40, but I would say high 30s is more like a legitimate area. Comparison to the previous version, it's almost a $10,000 difference. Seems about right. Long term, I'm not sure what's gonna happen. I think it's still crazy regardless that these watches are $14,000, $15,000. However, to get one of these is impossible. This one that I'm wearing right now in my wrist was literally the first one in Miami. It's not for sale. It's not for sale. A friend of mine actually let me borrow it so I can bring this information to you. But I would say right now, in the end of 2023, with the first ones coming out, we're gonna be in anywhere from the 37 to 39, 40 range if you wanna buy one of these brand new. How long will it stay like that? I don't know. Usually when watches first come out, they get really expensive and then they simmer down. However, I do feel that it didn't come out at 50K. So it's possible that it could stay right where it's at. So that's it, guys. That's pretty much all I have for you. I'm not gonna lie. I'm considering in the future dumping mine and getting this one. I don't know, I guess it's just you always want to get the new piece, but I think it's the bezel. Overall, if I had to pick one improvement out of this entire watch that I love, is the bezel. But of course, they killed it. They tied everything together and the watch looks great. All I need now is for somebody to send me a Le Mans to do a review, because I think that's the one that we really want to see. But comment below what you think about the new Rolex Panda 126-500. And if you like this video, like and share it. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel.